It's Tuesday, September 17. In the headlines, the government's revenue for April to July outperformed the budget by 4.5%. In business news, mobile phone app created to tap into the unbanked Jamaicans. Regionally, Antigua and Barbuda passes law to impose curfew on minors. And in sports, CONCACAF to introduce expanded women's football competitions. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Chairman of the Economic Program Oversight Committee, EPOC, Keith Duncan, says the government's total revenues and grants of $301.9 billion exceeded budget projections by $12.9 billion for the April to July 2024 quarter. This means revenue for the period outperformed the budget by 4.5%. He shared the data during a recent quarterly press briefing.
Giving more details about the report, the EPOC chairman explained that some $270.8 billion accounted for tax revenue and $27.5 billion from non-tax revenue.
Tax revenues actually surpassed budget by $3.7 billion or 1.4% for the review period. This was primarily due to stronger than expected total income and profits, which was $5.5 billion higher than budget. You recall that at the end of March, the income and profits were below budget as corporate income taxes were lower than targeted at the end of March. There was some discussion around timing. However, as we see at this point in time, that the income and profits was $5.5 million higher than budget. This was tempered by lower than projected receipts from production and consumption and international trade.
Mr. Duncan notes that travel tax, with inflows of $9.5 billion, was $2.1 billion behind target, reflecting slower than projected visitor arrivals.
However, positively impacted, that is non-tax revenue, positively impacted by the drawdown of the government of Jamaica insurance policies with the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility. So non-tax revenue exceeded the budget by $7 billion due to the drawdown on trade.
He says expenditures of $336.2 billion were marginally behind budget by $6.2 billion or 1.8%, but actually $37.1 billion higher than the total spending for April to July 2023.
There was lower than projected spending in the recurrent budget. Total recurrent spending was for April to July was $32.4 billion, and this was due to higher program spending and increased wage bill consequent on the public sector compensation restructure.
A primary surplus of $21.7 billion was generated for the review period, which exceeded the budgeted surplus of $2.3 billion.
The People's National Party's spokesman on education, Damian Crawford, criticized the Jamaica Labour Party administration for its handling of the education sector at the party's 86th annual conference on Sunday. He highlighted the poor performance of students in mathematics and English language in the recent primary exit profile and Caribbean secondary education certificate exams.
13,000 children this year did not achieve proficiency in mathematics. They asked for bread, they were given stone. 11,000 children did not achieve proficiency in English language. And then when it comes to CXC, it gets worse. Because 18% of Jamaican children get 5 subjects, including maths and English. And then I hear that the Minister of Education is seeking a promotion. What can go so?
Mr. Crawford used the opportunity to assure attendants that the PNP government, if elected, will make major changes to the education sector, noting that the first order of business will be to address absenteeism.
Must be mashed down is that of absenteeism. In the rural area, 37% absenteeism, and in the urban area, 18% absenteeism. The first thing we're going to do is make sure we have boarding facilities for at least 30% of our school population. And then we are going to give 1 meal per child in school.
Minister of Education and Youth Favour Williams is down to address the lower house at today's parliamentary meeting. We might hear her response to the criticisms. The PBCJ will, as usual, be airing the proceedings live on our channel and on our YouTube and Facebook pages at 2 p.m. 7 judges were sworn into higher offices for the Michaelmas term by Governor General His Excellency Sir Patrick Allen on Monday at King's House. They will serve in the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. Her Honor, Christine McNeil, was appointed Master in Chambers effective September 16 to December 20, 2024. The other appointees include Justices Kisok Lang and Georgiana Fraser, who have been appointed to act as judges of appeal from September 23, 2024 until further notice, and September 23, 2024 to December 20, 2024, respectively.
I, Georgiana Jacqueline Fraser, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Jamaica, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of Jamaica, and that while acting in the office of Judge of the Court of Appeal, I will administer justice to all persons alike, in accordance with the laws and usages of Jamaica, without fear or favor, affection or ill will. So help me God.
Maxine Jackson has been appointed puisne judge effective September 16, 2024. 3 other members of the judiciary, Andrea Martin Swaby, Opal Smith, and Tracy Ann Johnson, were also sworn in. The Governor General saluted them for their work and commitment to justice.
Our judges, as you know, carry awesome responsibilities in this nation, interpreting the law fairly and impartially, which profoundly impacts lives and communities and contributing to the greater good of our nation. We salute you, judges, for your wisdom, your patience, and your steadfast commitment to justice.
Imagine having to turn your life around after a mistake that left you with a criminal record. Through the process of expungement, your slate has been wiped clean. But now, you're faced with a new challenge, a strong desire to serve your community as a justice of the peace. One question, however, lingers. Will your past, though legally erased, still affect your future? Let's explore the answer in this JIS feature.
A justice of the peace, commonly referred to as a JP, is a person of unquestionable integrity who seeks to promote and protect the rights of individuals. JPs are essential figures in the community, serving in various capacities that include witnessing documents, serving as lay magistrates, and playing crucial roles in the legal and judicial system. Now let's talk about expungement. This term refers to the process of having a conviction removed from one's criminal or police record after a specific period has elapsed and certain requirements have been met. It's a legal way to ensure that past mistakes don't define your future. If you're looking to become a JP, here's the first step in the application process.
You may apply by first going on the Ministry of Justice's website at moj.gov.jm, and you can download the application to become a Justice of the Peace. If you do not have access to the internet, then you may visit the custos in your parish and access a form. We also have the application forms at our justice centers, or you may come to the Ministry of Justice at 61 Constant Spring Road to get an application form.
Once you have the application form, you'll need to gather the necessary documents.
So you have to be able to establish your age, your date of birth. And so you need your birth certificate. If it is that you have a name change, you may need to provide, for example, if you have gotten married, a marriage certificate, or if you have done a depol. And so you may have to take the necessary steps just to make sure that the official name that you carry is validated through these instruments. So you should have a copy of those to be provided to the ministry through your custos.
You will also have to obtain 2 letters of recommendation. You may get the letters of recommendation from a Justice of the Peace or a police officer at the rank of superintendent upwards. A pastor of a church may also provide the recommendation. One crucial aspect of the application process is the declaration of any past criminal convictions.
But what the government of Jamaica has done through the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Act under Section 25, what it speaks to on the legal status, and I prefer to read the exact language of it. It says, a rehabilitated person shall, in relation to any expunged conviction for all purposes in law, be deemed to be a person who has never been charged with, prosecuted for, convicted of, or sentenced for the offense to which that conviction relates. Once the record is expunged, there is no need for you to make that indication on the form.
So simply put, having an expunged record does not stop you from becoming a Justice of the Peace, but it's important to take the necessary steps to ensure you have a clean record. Becoming a Justice of the Peace is a process that requires dedication, integrity, and a commitment to serving the community. Even with an expunged record, the opportunity to serve in this esteemed role is still within reach. Your past does not have to dictate your future.
Members of the public are being reminded to be vigilant in order to prevent mosquito-borne diseases such as dengue. Here are some tips to help you in this Living Healthy report.
You are part of this. We are united for health. Let's eliminate mosquito breeding sites and protect our community from dengue. Follow the following 10 steps to join. Cover water tanks thoroughly. Brush inside walls of barrels and drums with soap and water and keep them well covered. Dispose of old tires properly to prevent them from being left out in the open and becoming breeding sites for mosquitoes. Dispose of containers that are outside and that could accumulate water. Clean gutters, drains, and air conditioning water tanks every week. Protect doors and windows with mosquito nets. Empty and clean the external tray of the refrigerator every week. Change, wash, and drain water from flower vases and flower pot trays once a week. Wash pet water bowls at least once a week. Empty unused swimming pools and keep them dry. United for Health. Join the anti-dengue team now.
Time now for the business report. The newly launched Mine Lend mobile phone app was created to tap into the unbanked Jamaicans, and it's a partnership between JMMB Group Liberty Latin America, and Flow Jamaica that will provide microloans and allow an alternative credit scoring platform to support the lending process. Successful applicants will receive a digital Visa card directly in the Mine app on their phone, enabling instant spending. Approved customers can access renewable loan options of up to 150,000 Jamaican dollars. The Mine Lend app also introduces an alternative credit scoring methodology to provide credit decisions in as little as 10 minutes. The Limners and Bards Limited Media House has reported 9 months net profit of $83.59 million. Net profit for the 9 months amounted to $83.59 million, a 47% increase from the $56.97 million reported in 2023. Executives of noted listed companies have reported the sale and purchase of their own company stock. Tropical Battery Company Limited has advised that a director purchased 147,182 Tropical shares on September 11, 2024. Future Energy Source Company Limited has advised that a director purchased 4,219,272 fiscal shares on September 9, 2024. Wysinco Group Limited has advised that eligible employees of the company purchased 574,000 Wysinco shares on September 11, 2024 under the Wysinco Long-Term Incentive Plan. Wysinco has further advised that during the period September 11 to September 13, 2024, a connected party purchased 376,125,000 Wysinco shares, and connected parties sold a total of 564,187,500 Wysinco shares. We'll have more on the Jamaica Stock Exchange news from Denise Williams.
During trading for the period of September 16, 2024, the following companies represent the top 3 most active stocks that investors bought and sold on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Alternative energy provider Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with 4,367,944 units representing 30.12% of the total market volume in sales. Microfinance lender Dollar Financial Services Limited with 2,128,764 units, representing 14.68% of the total market volume in sales. Toll road operator Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited US dollar shares with 1,551,729 units, representing 10.7% of the total market volume in terms of sales. Moving from the money moves of investors, executives, and companies on the stock market, we turn to the Forex market. On September 16, 2024, the Bank of Jamaica reported that US $55.25 million was bought from Forex traders, while US $56.32 million was sold to Forex traders. Buying directly from the Bank of Jamaica, foreign currency traders sold the US dollar for $156.96 and bought the US dollar for $158.62. The difference between the buy and sell rate was $1.66, which represents a profit for Forex traders for every US dollar traded. Canadian Forex traders earned a trading profit of 97 cents from transactions with the Bank of Jamaica. The Canadian dollar was sold at $117.02 and bought for $116.05. For traders looking at the British pound, they pocketed a profit of $3.72, selling it for $207.21 and buying it for $203.49. For our credit report tip of the day, if you're struggling with poor credit score and high interest loans, This can feel like an uphill battle, but the right strategies can help you regain control and qualify for better interest rates. One strategy we suggest is to monitor credit utilization. Keep your credit utilization below 30%. This means using less than 30% of your available credit limit, which boosts your credit score. And with that, we wrap up today's business report.
In regional news, in Trinidad and Tobago, a multi-million-dollar initiative is being launched to ensure that society's most vulnerable are not overlooked in the drive toward digital transformation. Terrianne Brown-Campbell has the details.
The National Digital Inclusion Survey puts persons living with disabilities, the elderly and people living in rural communities among those most likely to fall behind in this country's thrust to digital transformation. Country representative from the Inter-American Development Bank, Karina Coburn, shared this and other statistics from the most recent survey at the launch of a technical cooperation project between the IDB, the Embassy of Japan, and the Ministry of Digital Transformation.
Only 40% of PLWDs in Trinidad and Tobago have access to the internet, compared to 79% of the general population. PLWDs are 3 times less likely to feel comfortable accessing e-government services than individuals without disabilities.
Ambassador Yutaka Musubara said Japan has invested more than $572,000 in the project.
This project is a list of many multi-sectoral initiatives financed by the Japan Special Fund, which previously provided grant assistance to the CARFA, the Caribbean Public Health Agency, to coordinate the regional health response to the COVID-19 pandemic.
According to the IDB's Public Management Senior Sector Specialist, the project will run for the next 3 years.
Added up the populations who are elderly, who are in rural communities, and who are persons living with disabilities, in totality, that would be more than half of the population of Trinidad and Tobago.
Among the plans for expansion, a program to subsidize the cost of smartphones for the visually impaired.
In the public sector, government is working to expand the range of e-services available to customers and to improve existing services to ensure that they are universally available, easy to use, and fit for purpose to meet the needs of all members of community, regardless of economic, social, or physical circumstance.
Antigua and Barbuda's Parliament's lower house has approved a new law enforcing a 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew for minors. The curfew, part of the Small Charges Amendment Bill 2024, aims to protect the nation's youth while placing greater responsibility on parents and guardians. More in this ABS News report.
Lawmakers have introduced legislation aimed at addressing the problem of children loitering in public spaces. The proposed law, which has sparked national debate, seeks to establish stricter guidelines on unsupervised minors in public areas and increase penalties for parents or guardians who fail to monitor their children's activities. Prime Minister Honorable Gaston Brown argued that child loitering is a growing concern.
Youth delinquency is on the rise throughout the Caribbean region, and many of the acts of crime and violence that are committed within the region are committed by our youth. As a consequence, we now have a situation in which crime and violence is a public health epidemic within the Caribbean region.
The legislation was also amended to include penalties for operators of nightclubs, bars, and fetes who allow minors to loiter at their establishments.
An owner, operator, or person who controls a nightclub, bar, or fete operator, or any other similar place shall not permit a person who is under the age of 18 years to loiter in any club, bar, fete, or similar place between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. A person who contravenes subsection 1 commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $5,000.
Leader of the opposition, Honorable Jamal Pringle, says the government should also examine the age of consent to bring it in line with this legislation.
About curbing some of these things, let us look at the age of consent as well. The Prime Minister would have mentioned that men are preying on underage girls, and I believe it's necessary if we're going to be mature about the situation.
In sports, we start on the field with football. The sport's regional governing body, CONCACAF, is set to introduce additional women's competitions as part of its efforts to assist in the growth and development of the sport in the region. In a press release issued on Monday, CONCACAF announced an expanded calendar of women's national team competitions for the 2025 to 2029 international cycle. Tournaments will include the Women's Qualifiers and Women's Championship, which will serve as the qualification path to the FIFA Women's World Cup and the Summer Olympic Games, the introduction of an inaugural CONCACAF Women's Nations League, and a second edition of the Women's Gold Cup. Rolling the ball over to schoolboy football, Manning Cup action. Kingston College is set to take on Jose Marti at Stadium East this afternoon at 3 p.m. Jose Marti have started the competition well and are tied with KC on 4 points after a win and a draw against Meadowbrook and Campion, respectively. After an entertaining weekend of football in round 2 in the Trinidad and Tobago Secondary Schools Football League's Premiership Division, we bring the highlights of Signal Hill's thrilling 3-2 victory over San Juan North Secondary in Tobago.
Signal Hill Secondary School were host to San Juan North Secondary in round 2 of the Trinidad and Tobago Secondary Schools Football League's Premiership Division in the Bertel Sinclair playing field. Signal Hill created the first chance of the game after some lovely skill by Jermaine Morgan that led to him finding forward Kyle James, whose poor first touch made things difficult. San Juan nearly broke the deadlock after a poor clearance by the Signal Hill custodian. The visitors threaten again with this effort from Batiste. The deadlock was eventually broken in the 15th minute when San Juan's Jaheim Danclair got the ball from the keeper's clutches to make it 1-0. The hosts looked for an instant reply after some quick passing led to James hitting the post. Signal Hill grabbed the equalizer in the 31st minute thanks to this well-taken strike by Morgan.
Goal. Beautiful.
The host found the back of the net again minutes later after this wonderful half volley by Morgan fell to James to make it 2-1 to Signal Hill going into the break. Sawa would equalize early in the second half thanks to this bullet of a header by Jelani Valentine.
Nice the cross comes in, head it on the purple, and goal. Beautiful.
The visitors came close to taking the lead, but were denied by some great goalkeeping.
Piece of football, ball playing inside, opportunity for shot and goal, goalkeeper comes up, beautiful save.
With time taken away, Signal Hill were awarded a free kick outside the box. And in the 3rd minute of added time, Israel Trim scored a dramatic free kick to send the Signal Hill faithful into a frenzy as they defeated San Juan North Secondary to make it 2 wins in 2.
And that's it for the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thank you so much for watching.